Welcome to Editors Forum. It's been a week of full darkness and many parts of the country were plunged into darkness for a better part of the week.
You should do something about doing so for us. They beg help, and because of the way the light is going on, it's not good.
Minority MPs on Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee blame the power challenges on government's inability to buy crude and predicts the situation will get worse.
That is why the minority issued a statement in November that we are back to doing so. And since then, they've been load shedding until 2 days ago, it became worse.
Are you not experiencing power outages? So under NDC time, when we experience power outages, it is doom so. Under MPP, when your lights go off, it is technical hitch. What kind of policy of inconsistency is this? The power sector is crumbling.
But in a sharp rebuttal, Energy Minister John Peter Amewu describes the minority as doomsayers whose wish will not be granted.
You know, there is no way they would accept the facts of what is happening now in the power sector. We're not going to expect the West in this country. We will not do that. We will make sure we confront this problem and address it quickly as possible.
Also this week,
what exactly do you want done?
Students of the University of Education Winneba protesting over what they describe as unfair dismissal of over 30 teaching and non-teaching staff of the school. The protest has led to the destruction of school properties. UTAC has declared support for the protest, demanding the immediate reinstatement of the lecturers sacked and the resignation of the Vice-Chancellor, Reverend Professor Afo-Broni.
We as a national body doesn't recognize that decision that has been taken by the leadership of this university. Sure. And therefore, UTAC, together with other stakeholders, are going to do whatever is necessary to make sure that justice prevails in this university.
2 campuses of the university have since been closed down following a decision by the Central Regional Security Council. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is backing calls for the resignation of the Vice-Chancellor. Plus, you need 5 cedis 77 pesos to be able to buy $1, a situation many say is crippling their businesses.
On our listening government, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa, also to work on the fast city depreciation, also to stop the use of US dollar to write duty on the goods which we bought with CIF or CIFA.
But the Finance Minister has assured of some capital inflows to slow down the depreciation.
Very, very confident that a reversal is going to occur and that is going to be pretty stable going forward.
Question remains, is this sustainable? This is where you get to hear the views of editors from our various newsrooms. You recall a 1-month commission was inaugurated to probe the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election violence. Well, that commission has also submitted its report to the president.
I'm confident that you will find the findings and recommendations useful in shaping important reforms for the future.
Plus, President Akufo-Addo instructs the Attorney General to expediently put together and submit to Parliament specific legislation to deal with party militias. But the NDC says the approach is rather a longer option to ending party militias.
We are a bit worried because that may take a very long time. Now,
you may be aware that the president directed his party to meet with opposition NDC to find a solution to the party militia canker, but that is yet to happen. We're live on digital address GA0992539, on Facebook.com/JoyNewsOnTV, on Twitter @JoyNewsOnTV, on YouTube and across the world on myjoyonline.com. You can also join the conversation via 0266 047417 on WhatsApp.
I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter. Going behind the glossy headlines to set the tough news agenda, listening to all sides of the story. Your stories, our stories, of people and of places.
We feel like we are not part of Ghanaians.
I'm very, very lost.
Now, you go school, you poli. But politicians need change padlock.
Focusing on events that affect lives.
We are slowly poisoning our consumers, and that is the reality.
Change of lesson, please!
And these are children who never had a shot at education.
They said this work is not meant for women.
The last stop, which is the castration.
Stimulating content that reveals our diversity.
Industry regulator, the National Insurance Commission (NIC), aims to increase insurance penetration to 10% of GDP by 2021 from the present 2% approximately. Almost 2 years ago, the NIC had outlined 4 primary policy goals aimed at ensuring greater investment of funds in the bond market, improving claims payment systems, boosting penetration in the informal sector, and passing new legislation to improve enforcement and oversight. So join us on Tuesday, March 19 at 9:30 a.m. at the Town Palace Hotel for the next Joy Business Financial Services Forum, where we will be asking if recapitalizing will lead to growth, expansion, penetration, and the capacity for big business underwriting in the insurance industry. The Joy Business Financial Services Forum is supported by Town Palace Hotel. Experience excellence. Joy Business, empowering, prospering together.
My guest in the studio, Kobe Fiagbe is managing editor, Ghanaian Lens, and Kojo Yankson is news anchor with Joy News. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Nice to see you.
This week has been full of darkness because we've all had, you know, the unpleasant experience of sleeping, going back to those days of darkness. And the unfortunate thing is that it was just unawares. We were not prompted, and it was like disco. It just comes, goes, comes, goes. I remember at dawn, one of the days, it came, and I was so happy. 5 minutes later, it went off. What has been your experience, Kobe?
Did you say it was like disco?
Disco like.
But you used to pay money to go to disco, so if you are there, give it to me for free. Good evening to Aisha, my love, and the viewing public.
Please, I'm not your love. Okay, just make
your name is not Aisha.
Okay. Since you started the list of loves, I had to remove
Kobe,
myself.
I said Aisha, my love. Okay. I didn't say Aisha, my love.
So what has been your experience, Kobe?
Terrible. But we've survived it, and all we are asking is that government should be straightforward and upfront with us. Yeah, there are problems in the energy sector, one of which had to do, okay, there were two major problems. Yeah. One had to do with the generating capacity that was dealt with adequately by the John Mahama administration. Yep. The other has to do with the financials, which has to do with the what we have come to know as the legacy debt on the books of the various players in the industry. Yeah. I'm talking VRA, ECG, and all that, what we have come to know as the legacy debt. And in solving that, the John Dramani Mahama administration set up what came to be known as the ESLA, how do you call it?
The levies.
ESLA. The ESLA was supposed to be accruing some money that would be used to pay off the financial institutions that are encumbered by the debts and all those kind of things, so as to free the space and allow the operators to have access to more funding and to create. Unfortunately, when the NPP came to power, they decided that they cannot wait for ESLA to operate the way it has been envisaged to operate. So they chose the option of using the potential receivables as a collateral to go for a bond to offset. Unfortunately, they've done that, but they didn't use the proceeds to offset the debt. So we are now in double jeopardy. The debt is there accumulating interest, and the money that is supposed to pay for it has also been used in another way, and therefore it's no longer available to be used to defray. So, and then the debt also continues to grow, because government continues to force the how do you call it, the operators to operate without the needed funding going in, the payments going in, and so all these kind of things is boiling up, is how do you call
accumulated,
snowballing. It's snowballing, and this is just a minuscule of the effect that we saw this past few days. If care is not taken, we are going to have a full-blown doomsday on our hands, because it gets to the point where the banks would, especially given what we have seen that other banks have been forced into closure as a result of mostly government indebtedness to them through contractors, through no fault of theirs. And so these banks that are also encumbered right now, we don't want to go into that same situation. So they will be calling in their debt, and even as they are calling in their debt, they will refuse to release even more funding. So we are looking at a very, very dire situation. And people think that when we talk about doing so, it's just about the politics of it. No, it's really about the management of the economy and the kind of things that are going on right now, and that people don't want to, for one reason or another, because you are NDC, maybe you are saying because of political reasons. No, because these are the realities that we are facing right now.
Of course, experts have also warned that if we don't take care, the problem will escalate.
These are the problems we are facing right now. The problem we are facing has absolutely nothing to do with generation capacity. We do have them. Yes, a machine will trip here. Yes, but by the end of the day, that is not what we are facing here. What we are facing here is that people just lack the money. They don't have the money to do the how do you call it, the repair works, the timely repair works, the maintenance works, and also to buy fuel and all those things. And all those things are accumulating. And as they accumulate, it is just a matter of shifting the effect point. But it will come there. Unless we push in money, which is what we must do. But then government is sitting very, very tight. Government is in a very, very tight situation right now, based on their own failed policies. Too bad.
Okay, but government doesn't seem to accept that they are sitting on a time bomb. They say that everything is under control. What was your experience this week?
Pretty much the same as Kobe's. Very disruptive. Personally, when the lights go off,
I don't know whether it is, post-traumatic stress disorder from Doomsor in the previous government. But
it happens
something,
to everyone.
Yes, something comes over me when the lights go off.
Yes.
There's a certain amount of
especially
rage
the
and,
unplanned nature of it.
you know,
exactly, unplanned nature is very bad.
and then you start to count the cost. Especially if you have work to do and you don't have power to have your systems running, or you have to iron your kids' uniforms or cook some food or whatever, and the lights go off and you can't do it. You count the cost so much.
The painful
these days.
part is that you can't even have a peaceful night's sleep.
That is the worst
after
part.
a hard day's work.
That is the absolute worst part, And the world has come a very long way. When we were kids, those who had air conditioners in their houses were the rich ones.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Oh, now we are having people having 11 air conditioners.
Yes, indeed.
At the cost of the
so you can imagine.
These days, it's quite common, and so when the lights go off, we have an entire generation of Ghanaians who absolutely cannot catch a good night's sleep because we have become accustomed to cooling our bodies in order to sleep, and it has been traumatic. I won't lie.
Especially
really
the
struggled.
month is it's come with some heat. March is always hot, and it's so bad sleeping in the darkness.
See, the problem is the problem. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was going to actually pick up from something you said, because we have a rather unique situation here. For the first time, we're having a discourse about power in which both sides are kind of right.
Yes.
They're both saying different things, but are kind of right.
Yeah, I mean, it correlates.
Indeed. So you hear the opposition pointing out the fact that, look, there is a huge amount of debt in the power sector, and there is.
Yeah.
Exactly for the reasons Kobe outlined. Okay, so we put in this ESLA arrangement, and we projected that over a certain period of time, we would pay off all our debts. All we had to do was stick to it.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we're not.
Okay.
We're collecting the money, and we're using some of it to pay off pensions.
You see, that has been my problem. I kind of understand the issue of maintenance, technical hitches here and there with our power supply. But what causes pain is when the whole issue is politicized. I mean, such a sensitive sector is being politicized. I think we should listen to both sides on this. Then we can understand the politicization I'm talking about.
No, but you better allow him to make his point. It's a very important point.
Yes, I think he will make his point better when we even listen to what John Jinapo has been saying and the response that has generated from the Minister
That's a very, very incompetent response.
Just last week, GMPC were with us. They wanted to borrow $250 million to pay for fuel. And so it tells you that there's a major challenge. AXA has not been paid. Car Power has not been paid. Ameri has not been paid. I am challenging you. Ask the minister to tell us our standing debt levels with Car Power. The minister should tell us our standing debt level with Ameri. He should tell us our outstanding debt level with AXA. The minister should refute my allegation that ECG is making a loss of close to 4 billion 2018 alone. My calculation estimates that the debt overhang is about 13 billion cedis. New debt, that is not the existing debt. We passed the Energy Sector Levies Act, which provides 3.5 billion cedis annually to retire the debt. The finance minister has borrowed that money to go and pay for pensions, instead of using that to pay for the energy sector debt. Let the minister and the finance minister refute what I'm saying, and I shall bring you the report of the ESLA account 2017, where the finance minister agrees and confirms under his signature that he's borrowed that money. I think that they ought to be truthful to the people of Ghana. In any case, what is Doomsor? Is it not your lights going off? Are your lights not off? Are you not experiencing power outages? So under NDC time, when we experience power outages, it is Doomsor. Under MPP, when your lights go off, it is technical hitch. What kind of policy of inconsistency is this? That when the lights go off under NDC, under President Mahama, it is called Doomsor. But when it goes off under Akufo-Addo, even when your lights are off for 5 hours, 6 hours, they term it as a technical hitch. Ladies and gentlemen, the power sector is crumbling. The power sector is collapsing. The financial health and well-being of the power sector is in a state of jeopardy. The power sector today, as I speak to you, is in financial bankruptcy. And the earlier all of us, including you, the media, you take an interest in this matter, the better for us. Do not just think of today. Do not think of what has even transpired in the past 2 days. Let's ask ourselves that if we continue in this way, if we continue on this trajectory, are we going to have a resilient power sector? That is what the minister should be concerned himself with.
What we are incurring is because of the capacity charges that they have left behind. This is what I'm explaining to you.
The financial situation of the other things that
You are aware when we took over, the debt of the power sector was in the range of almost about 2.3, 2.4 billion US dollars. This government, through the ESLA system, has been able to pay an equivalent of about 5 billion Ghana cedis. That was what we paid out of it. Today, they are still debts. I am not saying that they are not debt. They are still debt because these debts are occurring as a result of capacity charges that we are not consuming. It is not on my record that finance minister has used that money, otherwise. It is not on my record. My record is what I'm telling you, that the debt he said we are incurring is true. Where is he? The debt he said we are incurring is true because of what they did.
As a result of all the challenges you are drawing attention to and what they did, is the sector bankrupt? Is the sector nearing collapse as a result of their bad management of it that you inherited?
The sector was nearly getting bankrupt and even about collapsing when we took over. But I can assure you that we're trying to revamp the sector now. It is clear. The interruptions and of power systems that we've seen these days, it's most often you see power going off in some areas, and this has nothing to do with the generation. The minority, there is no way they would accept the fact of what is happening now in the power sector, because they would have wished that this country is brought back to the days, of prolonged, power outages. We have worked very seriously to make sure that we address those problems. We know what power does to this country in terms of the economic activities. So I can assure Ghanaians that this problem, as you've all gone around to say it yourself, is basically a technical problem. That doesn't run out the fact that, of course, you will need liquid gas, you will need liquid fuel to fire this plant. Those are also necessary ingredients to make sure that the plants are working, and we have sufficient of those now. Once in a while, as we've been told, there's a drop from supply of gas from Nigeria. What we're doing currently is to negotiate with other offshore producers to make sure that we get a spot gas, in the market, and we can put in a spot gas into the same pipeline. So when there is a shortfall in gas from Nigeria, that can also equally address it. It is always best and cheaper when most of the plants are running on gas, because gas, as you are aware, is cheaper than liquid fuel. So, yeah, let it be the minorities thinking that, Ghanaians should expect worse. But let it be coming from the majority thinking that Ghanaians should, of course, expect the best. We're not going to expect the worst in this country. We will not do that. We will make sure we confront this problem and address it quickly as possible.
So you had two of them. You had former Power Minister, Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor talk about the debt getting into 13 billion, and you had the Minister of Energy saying that we shall not go back to doom so, and explaining the reasons why. But Kojo, you remember that this happened some few months ago. If I'm right, that should be in November, when the minister again said that it wasn't a big deal and that it was going to be resolved shortly, and that we're not going back here again. Here we are again, we're doing a back and forth, counter accusations here and there. The NDC says this and the NPP is saying this. But my point is, whether Dumso or Dumkra or intermittent or total darkness, we still need some answers, don't we?
Indeed. And okay. So, I was saying earlier that there is some truth in what everybody is saying, but there's also some politics in what everybody is saying.
Definitely.
So let's start with the NDC and the opposition. So they are absolutely accurate when they say there is debt, and the debt is growing.
Yeah.
And Kobe has outlined part of the reason why that debt is growing.
Yeah.
And it boils down to this ESLA, which has not been used for what it's supposed to be used for. But what they are saying, which they haven't been able to prove is whether or not this recent fluctuation, this week, whether or not this week's activity, intermittent whatever power, whether or not that is because of the debt, and not a technical problem. And you see, when you look at what has been happening, you can make up your own mind whether it's debt at work or whether indeed there are technical hitches. So for example, we know that one example of the load shedding was because of this construction work that was being, and we've seen a letter from Gridco to PDS asking them to shed some load because of some
exactly the
ongoing,
point.
So I mean, that is not because of debt.
But
then
even
there is also the fact that in some places the power is fluctuating. I had that in my area. You don't save money by fluctuating power. If you owe a supplier, he won't fluctuate your power as a result. It will go off. That's how you shed load. So that fluctuation cannot be attributed to debt either. We also know that this the explanation given to us by government, by Gridco, about some power lines that had a problem. We know that happened, but whether indeed days after that fluctuation we should still be getting these intermittent outages, that's another matter. So that's why I'm saying that the opposition has made the point about the debts. That point is factual, but they haven't been able to prove that what happened this week is because of the debt. Now, in terms of the government, what they have said, which is truthful, is that yes, there have been some faults. I think that is clear. Like I said, this fluctuation, it can't be planned. Planned fluctuation, I've never come across it. Where the disco thing, I've never come across that. That can't be planned. The widespread nature of it, all happening at once, that can't be planned. However, they haven't been able to prove to us that there has been no load shedding due to debt throughout the period. And the other piece of politics that they are doing, unfortunately, is that they are saying that there's nothing to worry about regarding the debt. But we know it's ballooning. It's snowballing, as Kopi said. Okay. So bearing that in mind, should they really not be managing our expectations? Explain to us that yes, this is the reality. That looking down the line, maybe a month, 2 months from now, if we don't solve the problem, this could happen. However, this is what we are doing to solve the problem so we don't get there. Will that not instill a lot more confidence in the Ghanaian than telling them, oh, there's no problem, there's no problem? When we know, we all have calculators, we can do the maths. We know there is a problem, there's a growing debt. So why tell us there isn't? That worries me, that removes my confidence. The other piece of politics that they are doing is that they are blaming it on power purchase agreements. So which is it? Do we have debts because of power purchase agreements, or do we not have debt? Which one is it? You are telling us we don't have debt, nothing to worry about. In the same breath, you are telling us that there are power purchase agreements that have accrued debt. It's not ESLA, it's power purchase agreements. So there are debts, right?
So certainly there are a number of questions there which has not been totally answered by the Minister of Power, except to play around it and make it look very palatable, which is actually not.
It does not help.
Let me see if I can help Kojo to understand something. When the minister said technical problems, did he even elaborate on what the technical problems
One explanation I had was that there was construction on some road construction. And that is actually where my problem is. If there is a road construction and you know definitely it's going to affect our power, then of course you could have prompted us and did some load shedding. This will take like 5 days.
No, I think they did. They put out some information at the beginning, and now they've sent this letter saying that the construction has delayed, so there is a need for more. So in terms of that road construction, no, they did put out some information at the beginning.
And they told you that at 6 to 7 o'clock your lights were going off.
There was no timetable for that.
Because this can't be a technical hitch. It's something that you foresaw, and so you could have done something about.
Aisha, even that is not a good enough explanation, because this is not a localized situation we are talking about. This is a nationwide. Are we saying that because of a road construction at Kaswa or whatever it is, and so the whole nation country? Come on, please, it doesn't make sense. So let's not even give it credence. Let's not even give it.
But is that what they've tried to say? Are they saying that that localized fault is what caused Tamale?
That is exactly what the minister said.
Well, the minister didn't specifically mention which areas that was affecting, but he kind of generalized the issue and said it will take them like 5 days, so we should bear with them so we can get our lights restored.
We are talking about light off across the country, and you are referring to a localized situation and making it, generalizing it to the whole country. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, but no, wait. So now we're talking about how the indebtedness in the sector is affecting, and the minister talks about technicalities, and I'm saying, what are the technicalities? So far he's not been able to tell us what the technicalities are, but I can tell you that the technicalities that he's talking about are all related to the debt, because when people have to do maintenance and they don't have money to do the maintenance, you have technical hitches. If you have to go and buy a machine, but you don't have the money to go and buy the machine, it will result in technical hitches. If you have to go and buy fuel and you don't have the money to go and buy fuel, it will result in technical hitches.
Definitely.
So that whole talk about technical hitches and those things, it is right there when we are talking about. It is all about money. And the money is what we had sought to solve by bringing ESLA. So that ESLA would have been, it was not going to be a one-off thing. In a period of 5 years, ESLA would have helped to remove all those indebtedness. Now you said that no, we want it partial. So you collateralize it and took it to go and take a loan to come and offset the debt. Only that you brought the money to come and put it into pensions. And guess what? Who are the people who are operating the pension funds in this country? Or if you go and check the companies, you will find that they are mostly related to the finance minister. So obviously, that whole thing is aimed at putting money in somebody's pocket. Who?
Well, that's a claim that I wonder.
I'm not making a claim. I'm only asking us to. I'm not making.
Well, you said obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, obviously, I'm saying that obviously money is
I don't
going
know
to
how
somebody's
obvious
pocket.
it is to you.
So let's look. Who is that? Whose pocket is that money going into?
But in any case, we were told that the PDS was coming in to right all the wrongs that were in the power sector.
PDS is only very, very unfortunate because there is very nothing they can do.
It's unfortunate, but of course, you've heard Gridco advising them to shed some load, like you mentioned.
That's right.
And you've heard PURC saying that they will sanction PDS if they investigate and realize that this power outages did not conform to their service, the service provider guidelines. It means that there is something wrong somewhere.
I don't think PDS has much to worry about. To be perfectly honest with you, they are responsible for a very small part of the entire value chain of power. And even that part where they have responsibility, they don't have responsibility for the whole nation in that regard. There are parts of this country that have experienced power cuts this week that are not fed by PDS.
That's the truth.
So, to be perfectly honest, I want that investigation to go ahead. PURC, I don't think will find anything that indicates that PDS, which has simply stepped in to replace ECG, has done anything to contribute to these fluctuations or intermittent power cuts or whatever we want to call it.
In any case, their job is to just carry it and
it's what you give them that they can share. If you give them nothing, they share nothing. So I'm not too worried for PDS. But when it began, before anyone spoke, everybody's attention went to them because they are the new player. So everybody thought, hey, wait, are we having this problem because there's a new link in the chain? But honestly, from everything we've heard so far, and the reality of this existing debt, I really don't know how PDS will end up being responsible.
And if I say there's politicization of this matter, I'm not referring to just this government. I mean, it's been done by subsequent governments. And the reason why I feel that this issue, we're not inching closer to any resolution to this issue. I don't know, Kobe, whether after hearing all these explanations, you feel that, or you're convinced that we are not returning to the days of darkness. Mind you, before this thing happened, we had hints from Gridco that it was going to happen. So I'm just baffled that people are just trying to, try to make it look very nice. I think that we should be told the truth, so that we can all help government resolve this issue.
All we have to do is to ensure that the monies that are intended to go to the energy sector to offset the debts go there. So we stop using them for things that we have not planned for. We've stopped putting them in pension funds because somebody is operating pension company and all those kind of things. You understand? Yeah. This is the problem. We have seen the problem. So we went to Parliament and passed ESLA, to which at a point was described as a nuisance tax. A tax that was aimed to solve a national problem was described as a nuisance tax, and we were promised that it was going to be scrapped. When they came to power, they did not scrap it. In fact, they even extended its lifespan. So, and then collateralized it, took the money which was supposed to go to offset the debt, and put it into pension funds. So the debt that has to be addressed is not being addressed, and that is where the Ghanaian people must put pressure on this government to return those funds to go and pay the debt. Because if we sit back and say it's technical, yes, technical, but the technical is being fed by lack of funds.
Well, so this is where the politics, then takes over. Because look, we have laws in this country.
And that doesn't help at all.
We have laws in this country.
I don't think I'm doing politics here. So no, I think I'm very passionate about this matter.
No, but the issue itself has been politicized. Yeah, so but you can talk of the politics of it.
The point I'm trying to make is that we have laws in this country. And I don't know where to begin from. Actually, maybe I'll begin from what happened in the previous government. When we were being told under the previous government that the problems we're having with power has to do with money. It was a money thing. We heard the government deny it. There is no appetite for the government to admit that we are facing a problem because they have mismanaged our money. No government wants to admit that. And so you would kind of expect the opposition today to be the first to understand the difficulty government has today in owning these debts. However, if indeed ESLA was diverted into pension funds.
No, you mean you don't know?
If indeed.
No, you mean you don't know?
You should allow me to make the point the way I want to make it. Let him make his point. You should allow me to make the point I want to make.
No, I just want to...
Because of the next half of what I'm going to say, I have to start this way.
Exactly.
Okay. So, if indeed ESLA has been diverted into pension funds, would that not constitute misapplication of funds?
That will be
Is that not an offense? Should Parliament, where the minority is present, not raise this matter for debate?
But the minority, I've heard the minority speak so much about this.
Have they raised it on the floor
but
of Parliament?
You know that in Parliament, majority always have their way.
No, but when you are raising an urgent question, the majority doesn't have their way. You can raise a question. Okay, but the point is this. The point is this. Raise it for the speaker to shoot it down, for us to all see what's happening. But when you only talk about it in the media, you're not serving us. You're not serving your constituents. And you still have a job to do as a minority MP. You still have that job to do. It's not done.
So do it. To follow it through.
So please, we can't do your job for you.
No, we are not asking you to.
So in simple terms, we need to see something in Parliament regarding this ESLA and whether indeed it has been misapplied. We need a formalized process to deal with it. You can't expect the executive to check itself. Parliament has to do that. And if they don't do it, they're failing us. So we need to see something there. But you see, the politics then keeps rolling over and over and over. And there is probably a reason why you will not see minority in Parliament bringing this up. Okay, because ultimately they found themselves in this situation once before. And they defended themselves the same way that this government is defending itself. So there are certain attacks that they really cannot bring up because it might expose a little bit of them as well. So we're looking at a situation where, in a bid to protect each other, politicians are leaving the work undone. And you and I are the ones who are suffering. We're the ones who are living in darkness. We don't have generators that are fueled for free. We don't have those. They do.
They even have plants.
They do. But they suspended sitting in Parliament when they are, what's it called, that thing, the unlimited power supply to the UPS.
Intermittent.
When it stopped functioning, they suspended sitting in Parliament. They went to sit in a cooler place. We don't have that option.
We don't have that opportunity.
So they absolutely have to represent us.
Yeah.
Do what is right. And indeed, if we are facing some crippling debt and further problems in the future, look, don't spring it on us. Don't surprise us with it. And government really ought to understand that they are heading into an election.
Yeah.
And if even they are not personally motivated to do the right thing, for the sake of votes, they should.
Kojo, the pain for me is the fact that we are paying so much for electricity. And if you're paying so much and you're not getting value for your money, it's so painful. And even when some of these things are happening and people do not even, find it appropriate to prompt you that your lights will be going off at this period. Maybe those who feel that we should begin to sue the power provider so that when we lose some of our gadgets, because I tell you, this whole week, what has happened, a lot of people have their fridges, their air conditions, and are no longer working because the whole thing was like disco, like I said.
We used to pay money for disco, so don't worry about that.
But this time we didn't pay money for disco, so I think that people should start suing the power provider, and then maybe we'll get some resolution to this problem.
Let me address something that Kojo said. Kojo, it is indeed true that during the time of the doom, so there were talks about it being money problem and all that. It is true. But at that time, the problem was twofold. It was first the generation deficit and also the debt on the books. So our preoccupation at the initial stages was to solve the generation problem first, because in any case, even if you solve the debt and the generation deficit is there, you will still be running into doom. So our point at the time was that, look, this is not the issue. This is not the focal point at this time. The focal point at this time is to solve the generation problem. Now, having solved the generation problem, we came to sit and confront the debt problem. And that is what resulted in ESLA coming into being. So, with ESLA coming into being right now, nobody has an excuse not to confront the debt issue.
Except, Kobe, except
wait. So to try and say that we are not talking about it because we thought that when we were in power, it was being referred to, and we said that was not the case. No. When we had two strong challenges in our time. They have only one. The two strong challenges we had was generation deficit and the debt.
Okay.
So we sorted the debt and the generation problem. Having sorted that one out, then we confronted the debt problem with the ESLA.
Except that when you were solving the generation problem, you may have actually ended up creating more debt for us.
Okay.
And so let me just make the point. Because when government talks about the power purchase agreement, it is true. I mean, fair enough, maybe they shouldn't still be complaining about it now because they're a new government. They should have been able to strike new deals or whatever.
Yes. Because however, we're told that 13 of those power purchase agreements had been cancelled.
Very good, very good. So why not cancel all the other unnecessary ones? But let us be clear.
Let us be clear.
As a government, and I'm talking about the previous government, because they were working under emergency circumstances, which was caused by them. I mean, they've been in office for several years. They shouldn't have suddenly found themselves in an emergency.
Okay.
But because they were dealing in an emergency circumstance, they ended up signing agreements that we didn't need. That will cost us money and continue to cost us money. Okay. Now, we have to be clear. We have to be clear. If this country had a plan, an energy plan for the next 20 years, we want to have this percentage of our energy coming from solar. We want to have this percentage from thermal, this percentage from hydro, whatever. If we had a plan, some of these things would never happen.
And
if somebody brings a deal,
a lot of energy experts have said this.
Exactly. If somebody brings a deal which doesn't fall in your plan, you don't sign it. So you have to ask yourself, why did they sign those deals? What was the benefit? Who benefited? And why? And why is it that this government...
Because some of those ones we're still here.
And interestingly, why is it that this government hasn't cancelled some of them?
Could you? I'll address that, but let me go back to the plan.
Okay.
In 2000, before the NDC exited and left to the Kufuor administration, the plan was that based on our growing demand, every year minimum of 110 megawatt capacity, is it megawatt or whatever capacity should be added to the existing stock.
Yeah.
That was not done. Even at the time that the then Papa Kusindum became the energy minister under Kufuor and said that Ghana was going to become a net power exporter, we were not adding to the generating capacity of the country. So when we got hit by the 31st September, do you remember 31st September?
Yeah.
Have you seen 31st September on the calendar before? 31st September?
No.
But you don't remember 31st September when, because of Dumso, a minister of state under Kufuor had to promise us that Dumso was going to end by 31st September. Do you remember 31st September? You don't?
No, I don't.
Okay, so go Google it. You understand? When we got hit by that Dumso, then what happened? They had to pretend to be doing something, and that gave birth to Bui.
Yeah.
Bui in itself was not the solution to the problem, because what we needed was more thermal plants than hydro plants.
Yeah.
But those are matters for the technical people. Me, I'm not.
Yeah.
You understand? So that is where the deficit things started growing. You understand? No, you are right. That we got hit by emergency. Then 2018, we have a minister of state who says that, oh, they have reviewed this thing. What's the name of that
power purchasing agreement?
Power purchasing.
PPAs.
This thing, Novation. The Ameri Novation deal.
Yeah.
What happened? It was going to cost us even more. In the end, the president came and told us that he was misled.
But with the new one,
we were told
that we've saved some money.
We were told that the president was misled. We were told that the president was misled.
So the minister lost his job.
Well, the point I'm making here is that these are people who are not working under pressure.
Okay, they don't have emergencies.
These are people who are not working under any emergency.
Okay.
And this is what the result was.
This is what the results were. Let me.
You understand?
Let me.
So I'm saying to you that when we are talking about managing the power sector, they have proven over the period that they don't have what it takes. In fact, they don't intend to. Because if they intend to, collateralizing ESLA to take money to offset the debt is a good move. It's a good move, because what it means is that instead of waiting for it to come in gradually, you have taken a bulk money, push it there, clear the books, and it's a good move if it was really intended to solve the problem.
Yeah.
But then obviously with what is happening right now, it is clear that that was never the intention.
Okay. So the minister says that by Tuesday we should have all our lights on. I think that's what he said.
How long?
We're waiting to see how this goes on, and then whether we are returning to Dumso, because the issue has been that even the energy experts will tell you that this is where we're going. If we don't do things right, and one of the things we are not doing right is not paying our debt, which is ballooning, we've all admitted. So we'll look forward to the Minister of Energy resolving our issues, and then maybe we can have some power at home. Let me take a few of your comments on WhatsApp. And this one, you didn't add your name. He says, this government has promised never to admit any fault or wrong identified in their government. They must be told this is a dangerous path and could lead them into opposition, same margin on NDC in 2016. And this one is from Godwin from Koforija. He says, Aisha, good evening. The current Dumso occurrence being witnessed is as a result of clueless and ineptitude on the part of the minister in charge of it. MPP bashed the Eswal government of all manner of allegations with regards to the power challenges, and today they are finding another definition for Dumso. I call it Dumso. And that is from Kufuridja. This one says, I just like the program you people are doing. Thank you very much for liking us. And this one is coming from, you didn't add your name. He says, what Mr. Kobe is saying is indeed the truth. If there's any technical problem, is it not money that is used to solve it? So why then all these claims? Ghanaians are always politicizing issues of national concern. The minister should tell us something. Dumso is Dumso, irrespective of the cause. And those are some of your comments coming in. This one, he says, okay, Kobe is he's doing propaganda. Tell him.
I know, right?
Okay, so Gregory says you're doing some propaganda here. And Peter, okay, so this one says, isn't it fallacious and therefore palpable to hear the government minister telling an August House that load shedding across the nation is due to a road project at Pokwase, suburb of Accra? Are all power lines running through Pokwase and some suburb of Tema? Why are some of your media houses defending the super incompetent? Honorable Amewu needs to be sacked. Those are the comments coming from George. Okay, so he says, Alex from Mori. He says, please tell Gridco that their inability to run electricity wisely and help those using prepaid meters to get good services led to too much Dumso. Your message is quite mixed up. I can't really read all. And let me take this one. He says, so much. Okay, so I think he's talking about something else.
He's talking about your beauty face.
Baba Abdullah says, as our businesses continue to struggle under the current conditions, that is the depreciation of the cedi and the power outages, those responsible to fix it are relenting on their efforts, while those who are supposed to present alternatives are busily rejoicing over the suffering of Ghanaians. In short, NDC and MPP have failed Ghanaians, and it's coming from Baba Abdullah. Those are some of your comments from our viewers watching us from home. So we also know that there's been a lot of action on the Winneba campus because students have been demonstrating that the Vice Chancellor should be sacked because they've tagged the number of staff and non-staff at 30 who have been sacked. The latest are the 3 lecturers who were sacked, Professor Ephraim and his colleagues were sacked. Let's take a look at what transpired on the campus this week.
Yesterday we were there and we heard that the for immediate past HOD, who is currently one of the best lecturers. As you can see, they couldn't even give me the chance to grant you this thing because he's the lecturer that we say to be the best lecturer in the department. He is the one who has the theology. He's the one who teaches the soccer, first aid, and a lot of courses that we don't see any lecturer in this our department taking us through.
We had a call from our Dr. Jinapo, that he is also sacked. That he was at the lecture hall teaching the level 400 face to face. He had a face to face with them, and he had a text message that he is sacked. So we want him back. He didn't do anything. So we want him back. He is the only lecturer in our department. We students want him back because he was then our HOD. When this man came on power, they stepped him down and brought another HOD. So we don't want our HOD. They should change our HOD and bring back our Jinapo. It's an intimidation affecting us. And lots of intimidation affecting us.
The time that they have sacked the man is not good. The time, because if you check, we are now on 6th week of the whole semester. That means that we have some few days for semester quizzes. You see, so this one is going to affect the whole university, not only IPS alone. So we are fighting. We are fighting to all the authorities that they should bring the man back. We need him. If not, something else will happen. There are issues of ultimate importance in this university. Sacking a lecturer is not important. There are issues that are very important in this university. This whole university, there's only a quarter of us that have been accommodated on campus. There is no SH president. There are issues that are impending. The security on campus is very poor. I'm telling you, this semester, this academic year, there is no SH president. There is no executive because the elections were boycotted by court. Cut all the way. You see, we don't know what is happening. The thing is, communication to the students are very poor. We don't know what is happening in this university. So our worry now is, why then are you facing the lecturers when students are rather suffering? The students here are suffering. We are suffering. My brother, you can't sack a lecturer in the middle of a semester. A lecturer lecturing people about 6 courses. You sack them in the middle of a semester. What do you want the students to do?
All right, so you saw some students on the Winneba campus of University of Education saying that their lecturers who were sacked must be reinstated, and they are also calling for the resignation of the Vice Chancellor. Now, we've seen the 3 lecturers, for instance, and UTAG has summed up as 30 of the staff and non-teaching staffs who have been sacked so far. Now, we've had explanations from the school, and even before that there's been counter accusations of lecturers and the MP for Efutu Afenyo markings, and we have finally seen a shutdown of that school. Now, the explanation that we've had has been that these 3 lecturers, one of them Professor Ephraim and so were told that he was sacked because he was not cooperating with other council members. We've seen other lecturers. The other one were told that he was sacked because he showed disrespect to the council, and then the other one obviously because he took his employer to he took legal action against his employer. Now, Kojo, all of these happening and all the counter accusations, how does this come across to you?
Oh, it's such a mess. It's such a mess. Now, Aisha, I grew up on a university campus my whole life. I grew up on campus. My father was one of the administrators at the University of Cape Coast. He was a pro-vice chancellor at a point. So I understand university politics. I know how it works. And this doesn't look anything like how a university operates. First of all, sacking people on a university campus is such a rare occurrence. Lecturers and so forth, they often work towards something they call tenure, beyond which, sacking them is a virtual impossibility. So there is a certain amount of stability that comes with working at a university. So the sacking in itself is rare, and you would expect there to be some very unique circumstances that would lead to a sacking.
Yeah. Especially in the middle of a semester.
Indeed. But here we're hearing about things like insubordination and using the wrong route to deal with the grievance. Honestly, I mean, who gets sacked for that?
Yeah.
But this is what has happened here. Now, I noticed that a lot of the fingers are being pointed at the Vice Chancellor.
Yeah.
But unless he circumvented university rules, he can't just get up and sack people on his own. There's a council that he would have to consult with, and so the sacking would be done by the council.
The accusation is that he's bought all the members on the council.
Ah, well, that's another matter. Okay, but clearly he didn't do this alone.
Yeah.
If he has indeed bought people, then he did it with his bought people.
Yeah.
So the fingers should be pointing at more than one person.
But what is it with this school? You remember Professor Avake, the vice chancellor of that school, he was asked to step down, and then this one came, I mean, 3 days into celebrating his 1 year in the school, and this is what happened. What is it with this Winneba campus?
One thing I know is that nobody in Ghana lifts a finger unless there is personal interest.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. I'm here because, I'd like to have a salary at the end of the month.
Definitely.
Kobe is here.
Which is very huge.
Yeah. So well, we all do
I'm interested in the huge part.
We'll have a separate show for that.
Look, I will show you how to get it. So you cool down.
That's my girl.
This is degenerating into a University of Education Winneba type situation. So look, we all do things for personal interest. So we have to start asking ourselves, what is the personal interest there? What is it that makes people like Mr. Kennedy of Japan, Mr. Afenyo Marking, so interested in the outcomes
One
here?
of the lecturers I spoke with said Afenyo Marking was after the university's money. And the question I asked is, the university that rich?
How is he going to get it is the first question. So how is he planning to get the university's money?
Okay.
And then yes, secondly, how rich is the university?
Yeah.
They need subventions in order to pay salaries. So how rich are they exactly?
Okay.
You know, so it's an interesting question, but there is something. There is something that is making all these people interested in what comes out there. But for me, the most interesting aspect of everything that has happened there is what happened between Mr. Kennedy Agyapong and the police.
And the police.
That was just
an eyesore.
It was amusing, actually. I've got to say, I had a good laugh.
Yeah.
So the police now issue statements to warn people when they commit crimes. Really?
They can't.
So if I threaten a police officer tomorrow, what moral right will the police have to arrest me?
No, but I think it goes back to the point we've been making all this while, that if the IGP is appointed by a politician, then you can have some of these comments coming in that if you're not doing your job, I mean, if
you know what?
You are not doing my bidding, I would ask them to sack you.
Look, if that was the case, then at least the officers on the scene should have arrested him for someone above to come and tell them to release him.
Okay.
But that is even not true.
But that didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Let him make
Rather, what happened was he was allowed to get away with it.
To get away with it.
And then they issued a statement. And I thought, no, why even issue a statement? Because it would have been better for them to pretend they didn't see it.
Because he doesn't want to lose his job.
Honestly?
Yes.
This is what should make him lose his job.
That's the point.
This is what should make him lose his job.
That the police is dancing to the tune of politicians.
Oh, this is what should make him lose his job.
Boss
so you are issuing a statement.
Appointed by a politician.
You're issuing
what do you expect from
because a member of parliament has harassed, threatened, intimidated a police officer. So you issue a statement?
I quite remember, and I think after this, everybody is talking about the late Awuni when he arrested a sitting MP. Everybody thought he was a stubborn policeman. Indeed, he was, and because of that, I mean, did you follow that man? He was transferred from one place to another because of his stubbornness, because he would not do anybody's bidding. How many policemen are that tough?
But today,
who have this tough
today
skin
we sing
to
his
behave
praises.
this way?
Today we sing his praises. Now, if
Yes.
you're doing a job and your goal is not to be celebrated for the good job you did, then you shouldn't be doing it. We all come to work, we all put in our best, we all lose sleep because we want to put out a product that people will commend, that people will say, well done. So if that is not your intention, you shouldn't be in that job.
That's how.
And this is an indictment of the entire police force.
That's how it should be, but that's not what it is.
That's the reality, and they proved it.
Let me take off from the police angle before I come to the university. I think that the IGP is failing his men and our men. Having been a uniform person before, every time I see a uniform person, yeah, we can be very, very irritating and annoying most of the time.
Yeah.
And in fact, just a couple of days before this whole thing happened, there was this news about police people brutalizing some journalists, and I think that
everybody condemned it.
I think that the perpetrators need to be fished out and dealt with in accordance with the law to instill public confidence in the police administration, the police institution. But you see, the moment I saw that statement from the police, I'm like, wow. I'm totally on all fours with Kojo.
Yeah.
That statement shouldn't have been issued.
Yeah.
Then you should have rather pretended. But
It
to
didn't
say
happen.
that we are taking a strong exception, and that ends the matter.
Wow.
So 2 days later, you see a situation where a policeman is being beaten by driver and driver's mate at Abeka La Paz.
And you think that one can be arrested?
So obviously, this is ballooning.
Yeah.
The impunity is ballooning, and then you move against these people. The people are like, why do you move against them? Is it because they are not members of parliament, or is it because they are not members of the ruling party?
Yeah.
And you understand?
Yeah.
So clearly the IGP is failing our men, and I'm disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed. The fact that you have been appointed by a political party does not mean that you should subordinate the interest and safety of your men to the political party's interest. Because at the end of the day, you are IGP because the men are there and will follow your orders.
Yeah.
If the men revolt against you, you are nobody.
Of course, and I've heard Mr. Bombande sat in the same chair and he warned. He said the police do not have any confidence anymore because, for instance, what happened at Ayawasu West Wogon? The police is supposed to protect elections. Here is national security coming, and even the police is sidelined. So
they are even picking their phones for them, picking their weapons for them.
Police don't have any confidence anymore to do anything else in this country. And then you, a member of parliament comes to tell you that don't do your job because if you do it, I would have you sacked. And then you go and
two of them stand out for me. SS Omani and Peter Namfuri. Masa, no way.
Yes.
No way. And no Bila, who didn't happen to be an IGP. But these are men who will make sure that their men are protected. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
Even if it means that they will sacrifice themselves. And yes, Awuni that you made reference to. Awuni, I think he was a sergeant when I entered police back in the 80s. You understand? And I met him as very, very opinionated and firm guy.
Very firm. He will stick to his.
He knows his staff.
Yeah.
You understand? He doesn't. He's not inhuman, but he knows his staff.
Yeah.
If he decides that, okay, I'm going to forgive this, he's going to forgive it based on the law, not based on his personal emotions.
Yeah.
You understand? So that is the kind of person I've known. And that is the thing that I'm saying, that there are those people in the service. I know if I mention names right now, they may be targeted.
Yeah.
I know a lot of such people in the service. They are there. You understand?
So why?
So I'm so disappointed in the IGP that this is going on, and I think that the time has come for him to show leadership to his men.
Of course.
And let the men have confidence in the institution that we are calling the police service. Because if they can be beaten and they can be a whole regional commander can be spoken to like a trotro, a mate or something, and then all we do is to take exception. Where are we going?
And I know the reason the MP Kennedy Japan was on the campus. Probably he's also from the central region, and so he.
And that brings me to the.
Now the MP for Ifutu himself has been accused of interfering in the matters of the school.
UUW issue.
Yeah.
Let me go there. You see, again, it is me, Kobe, and I'm NDC. And because I am NDC, what I'm going to say, people are going to think that I'm politicizing the issue, but I'm not.
Yeah.
This whole problem is a creation of President Akufo-Addo.
How?
I'll tell you how. Thank you for asking the how. You see, when Afenyo Makin started his campaign against Professor Avoke, trying to get Professor Avoke out of the university, the process went to the point where he had to go to court.
Okay.
As the case was in court,
but I'm
coming.
Afenyo Makin was only a lawyer to the client who
He's talking about
President
President Akufo-Addo. So let's hear what he means
when the court was the case was ongoing in the court. The president was advised to appoint a new vice chancellor
for the.
The president was counter-advised, especially in a strongly worded letter by Dr. Atuguba, that no, at least, if for nothing at all, let's await the end of the court process. If we await the court process, it ends. And the court decides one way or the other, and even you don't want to go in accordance with the court ruling, then you find the legal framework to go against the court ruling.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, don't go on that process.
Okay.
The president ignored and went ahead to swear in Professor Boni, and this is where we are at right now.
Yeah.
The court finally ruled that the removal of Avoke was illegal and he must be reinstated.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
a new vice chancellor is already
been appointed. So this is the where we are now. Bruni now sees himself as the political untouchable. Or at least so it appears to me. I won't say that because I'm not in his mind. But so it appears to me that he seems to see himself as a political untouchable. And so he is running the show. You either play ball with me or you don't play ball with me.
So at the time that
let me finish. Let me finish. What does non-cooperation with council members mean? Is it that people must necessarily kowtow to a certain line, and if you don't kowtow to that line, then non-cooperation therefore means you should be sacked? But I thought that universities have academic freedom and independence of thought, which includes the right to disagree vehemently without violence with any position and state that disagreement openly and freely and get away with it. So suddenly that right has now become a flaw such that it becomes a sackable offense. And we are applauding it. And isn't that a very evidence of the fact that the man feels that I have been appointed by the president to do as I wish?
But at the time that there was confusion in the school, that people wanted the Professor Avoke removed, and there was so much chaos in the school, what would you have had the president done at that time, knowing very well that litigation takes quite a long time? It could even be 2 years.
My thing is that the council was in charge, so let the council put in an interim measure to run the school while the case runs out. You understand? Because this is where we are right now. Okay, so right now, how do we even enforce the court ruling? Unless Professor Bruni is removed. You understand? We are in a quagmire right now, and people are not averting their minds to that. Professor Avoke has so far shown a certain level of maturity by not going for an order to enforce the ruling of the court. Because if it does, we are going to have a certain level of another whole new level of this thing altogether at UEW. You understand? And that is where this is where the whole problem is coming from right now. Now, you have this problem going on, and you go on social media and see the Minister of Education saying that, oh, I have called the Member of Parliament and the professor, and I've resolved the issue between them, and I believe that with this
so there's indeed an issue between them.
With this newfound understanding, there will be peace. And I'm like, the university is a creature of statute. Where in that statute is the role of a Member of Parliament of a constituency in which the university is cited? Where?
But is that who he is? I mean, is that where the university is cited?
Yes,
okay. All right. So how about Kennedy Japan?
So yeah, I mean, it's so remote. That was what I was saying. That what would Kennedy Japan be doing there? Because it's so remote. Afenyo Marking, we could understand because he is a member of parliament for the area. So if there is chaos in your area, you may want to step in.
So we take the statute, and we are like, where is it? Where is the role of a member of parliament in whose constituency the university is cited? Where is his role in this whole thing, such that unless we are talking about personal issues here, but if we are talking about university administration in accordance to law, where is the member of parliament's role in all this?
Kojo, his interference with matters in the school. I've heard a lot of people, and even this morning I heard.
It is important I finish. Okay. It is important I finish. I am not saying that as a member of parliament, he will not have constituents on campus, and therefore he must be interested in the interest of his constituents. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about the administration of university, which has nothing to do with the interest of constituents. It may coincide with the interest, but administration of the school is totally different from the interest of your constituent. And so the whole thing right now is being made to look as if Afenyo Marking does not like you, you will not be an administrator, or you will not be at a certain position in UEW. And that is the picture that is gradually emerging. And he has vowed to make sure that Professor Bruni, who I think shouldn't have been there in the first place, not because he doesn't qualify, because I don't know about his qualification or not, but I think that the fair thing has not been done to Professor Avoke, and that is it. And it's not because I'm an Ebe. So people should forget about that. No, it's important.
Okay,
it's
so
important
we've established the point that Afenyomarkin has no business, interfering in the affairs of the school.
Now, things have escalated to the point where then what do we see? We now see the Rambo of the MPP, Kennedy Japan, the man who says and nobody says anything, nobody dares speak back, move onto campus, and to the point of what we were discussing about confronting the regional commander and even threatening him that he will get him to lose his job, maybe you are tardy and all those kind of things. So again, for me, it symbolizes failure of the Ministry of Education, especially the minister in charge of tertiary education, to take hold of the situation and advise the president appropriately to unfortunately, UEW does not have an Otumfo.
Like
when KNUST happened, happened, which could have degenerated, because we had an Otumfo who is respected and revered.
He stepped in quickly.
He put his feet down and managed the situation.
The matter.
Unfortunately, we don't have an Otumfo
in that area.
Not that we don't have a chief. We do have a chief.
Yeah.
But I think they are even having some chieftaincy issues there, but that is not my issue. The point I'm making is that we don't have an Otumfo-like personality to take control of the situation. So this is where one expected that the ministry would have empowered council. Whether the council is in pocket of Bruni or it's not in pocket of Bruni, the point is that by law, that is the governing council of the institution.
Okay.
So ask the council to take charge of the situation and give you a report.
But there are those who also feel that because Bruni has bought all of the people, the members of the council, that council must be resolved if this issue must be settled. But let me bring in Kojo. I'll pick your point on that. But let me bring in Kojo in this conversation. What baffled me was when the minister announced the shutdown of the school based on the advice of the regional security council, and then the member of Parliament goes to say that people should not move their things from the school because he will make sure that that decision is reversed. So now it is the word of RegSec against that of the member of Parliament. Then finally we hear the registrar of the school coming to say that, listen, that order is still in force. You have no business staying in this school. If anything happens to you, you called for it yourself. And so what the member of Parliament was saying must be rubbished.
That was disgraceful. People let me put it this way, everybody has a job to do. The Regional Security Council has a job to do, and it is chaired by the regional minister.
Yeah. Who we are told are 50.
Who was appointed by the president.
Oh, Kennedy Japan said he alone has taken 50 contracts.
Okay, let's divert the conversation.
Who was at what? So now you believe what Kennedy Japan says? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
let's stick to the issues. Let's not divert the conversation.
Let's stick to the issue. So RegSec has a job. It is chaired by the regional minister who was appointed by the president. Let's not forget that. So when Alexander Afenyomarkin, a member of parliament, gives a counter order to the order that was given by the presidential appointee, and you see, this is a security matter. It's a security matter. Never in my life have I heard of a member of parliament being able to counteract a security directive. I've never heard it. And I need to be educated on the special circumstances surrounding Winneba that makes that possible. I need to be educated on it. Because clearly there must be some special circumstances, because he didn't simply go around knocking on students' doors and telling them, I'm a Fenyo Markin, you can trust me, stay in your room. No, he held a press conference, invited the media, and informed them that because of him and his intervention, the security directive need not be obeyed. And that what has been advised for the safety of everybody in that area need not be obeyed, because he has intervened.
Rambo.
So I would love to know the special circumstances that allow that egregious breach of not just protocol but national security that allows it to happen. I would like to know. I would love to know. But let's go beyond that. Let's go beyond that and ask a simple question. Aisha, do you know how vice chancellors are chosen normally in a university? It's by election. Yeah, they go through a democratic process, and certain people who have the right to vote to choose who they want their vice chancellor to be. For a president to appoint one is something that must only happen in the direst of emergencies, in the biggest of crises. So we must ask ourselves, was there a crisis at the time this vice chancellor was appointed by the president? Was there a crisis?
Well, Professor Avoke was, there were issues which led to one of the lecturers suing in court, and so there was a court process.
So that constituted a crisis?
Well,
was the university unable to run? Was it? Because that is when you would expect the president to step in. When for some reason the university cannot function, decisions cannot be made, day-to-day running is not occurring because of a court case. That's when, yes, you would expect the president to step in and say, all right, you know what, this problem must be solved, somebody must come and make these decisions, I appoint this person. That is when you can circumvent democracy. You see, this is the reason why the amount of power vested in the executive is our biggest problem in this country. If this country will ever find itself in trouble, it's because our executive has too much power. And they exercise it without, what is the word? Discretion. Without discretion. So now you've appointed someone. He's your appointee. With these difficulties, how does the president intervene? He's a party to the matter. So he can't even be seen to come and solve the problem. You see what we've created? He can't. I mean, honestly.
It's really bad. It's really bad. And if you listen to the students, you would have some sympathy, because they say it's in the middle of a semester and all these lecturers have been sacked and they think it will affect their academic work. Now, the interesting part is that UTAG actually supports this this demonstration. Even though they are cautioning, they do it in a manner that will not hurt anyone. But they say, and they describe this situation as victimization and polarization on the Winneba campus. I mean, having listened to all the explanations, and the explanation has been that one of the lecturers does not support anything that the council say. One of them is disrespectful to the council, and then obviously the other one has gone to court over matters that he's unhappy about. And those are the reasons for these three. And they have catalogued about 30 staff and non-teaching staff who have been sacked so far. Would you describe the situation right now on the Winneba campus as victimization and polarization?
Well, let me put it this way. I mentioned earlier that in this example, there are many who can argue that the president exercised his authority without discretion, appointed someone in a situation where there wasn't really a need for him to intervene, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Now he's appointed someone who appears to also not desire to exercise discretion. I talked about the fact that I grew up on a university campus. Look, sacking someone from a university. Aisha, the processes you have to go through, the circumstances that would have to exist.
Because those institutions are normally very independent.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
In
And
fact,
there is a reason.
Dissent is actually respected and encouraged.
There is a reason. Look, you go to any country that has had a revolution. And I always question whether what we had in Ghana was a revolution, so I will not add Ghana.
I will not
add Ghana.
Because we can always have that.
But you go to countries that have had revolutions, and it all started in a university. That's where the free thinking began.
Yeah.
So even in a country where a Stalin or a Lenin or some dictator was stepping on the necks of the people, in universities, dissent thrived.
It's encouraged.
In fact, that is where you can protect thought.
Yeah.
Independent thought.
So this is so unpleasant.
That is where people can sit around the table and argue for days. They bring them food so they can eat without stopping the argument.
Yeah.
Because it is important for free thought to be nurtured and grown. So for a university to sack someone for thinking independently from the council, it is a shock to me.
It is a shock.
It is a shock to me. I mean, look, if someone does something wrong and needs to be sacked, sack them. Yeah. But is this wrong?
Is this, enough reason?
In fact, is it even wrong? Is it even wrong to disagree with the council?
Yes.
Is that what they are saying?
How?
Or if somebody wants to deal with a grievance and he takes it to court, is that wrong?
Yeah, it certainly shouldn't be.
I mean, what are these? What is this university? A place of higher learning and deeper thinking, saying.
So you agree that
the role
indeed
of the court.
victimization and polarization on the Winneba campus?
Now, in order for me to say victimization, I'll have to know what the relationship was between them
but it's just not right.
And the leadership. What I can say is that it's wrong.
Yeah, it's just not right.
It's completely against anything that a university stands for.
Yeah.
So the university is now saying that going to court is the wrong way to deal with a grievance. Because they didn't give you the first opportunity to deal with it, so they are wrong.
They're wrong in going to court.
What does that even mean?
Kobe, make your point quickly, and we'll need to talk about the CD depreciation. So you also agree that it's been victimization on the campus?
I wouldn't know about victimization, but I just do know that this whole thing that somebody is not cooperating, like I made a point earlier, that somebody is not cooperating and therefore the person will be sacked. Not even just taken out of council, but even sacked altogether. I mean, how? So we must have only yes men.
Do you agree that the vice chancellor must resign?
I told you the genesis of the problem. The
okay,
genesis
so for
of the
you,
problem,
he shouldn't have been there even
in the first place.
Okay, I
understand. The genesis of the problem is that the president failed to listen to good advice, not to appoint somebody and to await the outcome of the court process.
But you do not.
As we sit right now, if Professor Avoke moves to take an order to enforce the order of the court that he should be reinstated, how are we going to resolve that issue?
But you do not support that the members of the council or the whole council should be dissolved and a new one replaced?
I really, you see, what we are dealing with right now is what people are saying that the council is in pocket. But I think that for somebody to have achieved in life to be recognized and appointed on University Council, it would be unfair and in fact a bit insulting to think that that person would subordinate the interest of the university to the personal interest of the vice chancellor.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go on that tangent.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe one or two people may support him right or wrong, but I don't think the whole council would. It would be so unfair to make that assumption. So that is why I think that the ministry should have allowed the council to take charge of the situation and deal with the situation instead of going to advise the president to appoint Bruni, and then now we are where we are right now.
All right. So, of course, so the issue is dicey, and now the university is closed down. So we're just hoping that by tomorrow, some of these issues will be trashed out, and then the people, because if you listen to the student, when I listen to the students, I get the sense that they are so unhappy, because if you're in the middle of a semester and this is happening to you, then you will understand the plight of these students. So we're hoping that by tomorrow something will be done and the students will be asked to go back to campus.
Barasha, it will be interesting for us to find out the terms of the agreement that has been reached between the MP and the what the chancellor,
the vice chancellor.
Why? Does the MP have some legal authority
that is where
to
I'm
make
heading.
an agreement
That is where
with the vice chancellor?
Because the minister said that he has brokered an agreement between them.
Okay.
And that agreement he foresees as being something that is going to help to restore peace and
so we need to know.
So we need to know what is the content of that agreement.
Yeah.
What is the basis? What is it? Because as far as we are aware, the MP has no role in the administration
of the university.
So what is the agreement that has been reached between the two of them? We need to really know that thing.
We need to really know that thing. And if there will be some peace in the school, I believe that people are calling for the MP to slow down, and so that there will be some order in the school. But of course, you know, this week business owners have also been wailing and calling on government to fix the cedi. The dollar now sells at 5 cedi 77 pesos. Check this out.
We are now pleading on our listening government, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa, to reduce high import values. Also, to use the original invoices that we use to buy goods at our various points of sales to write duty for us. Also, to work on the fast cedi depreciation. Also, to stop the use of US dollar to write duty on the goods which we bought with CIF or CIFA for us. The last but not the least, to eliminate all illegal barriers and set points with immediate effect. We are of high hope that the President, Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa, will hear our plea. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we, the members of the above-mentioned associations, are giving ourselves now till the end of this month, March 2019. If nothing is done, we will hit the streets in a grand style. We promise the government we will do.
Really, I'm very, very confident that a reversal is going to occur, and that is going to be pretty stable going forward. We have about $300 million coming in from Cocoa Board, another 600 million also from Cocoa Board in about a month or so. Today, as you know, we launched our Eurobond officially, which will be $3 billion, and that should close, you know, within the next couple weeks or so. In the interim, we've also gone through Parliament with a bridge of 500 to 750 million. That would ensure that there's a smooth transition going forward. But I think what, foreign exchange is always a price, the demand and supply. And your challenge really as a country is how to structurally change in terms of our imports versus our exports. I think we are too import dependent, and we need to find strategies to change that. Always will always be battling. It doesn't matter which government, with how the Bank of Ghana should intervene or not intervene. I think last year the Bank of Ghana came through for about $1.8 billion of intervention. In the first quarter last year, they did about $200 million. I mean, this quarter we've done about 90 million as we watch our reserves position. So with the type of capital that we're expecting to get in the next few weeks, we really expect a reversal and a stability that would occur.
So that was Ken Ofori-Atta, Finance Minister, assuring Ghanaians that something will be done, and he talks about inflows that will stabilize the cedi from falling. Now, my point is, I'm not an economist, and though this may sound very good, each time we've had this kind of intervention, it did not take long. And I've heard economists saying that it may be a good intervention to halt the cedi from falling, but it's just a short-term measure. And the long-term definitely would be, for instance, you know, doing less import and increasing export and all of that. Now, I feel that we're not doing much. And this thing didn't start today. So for the minister to come and tell us that, I mean, things will be fine because we are going to put some inflows and all of that, it's neither here nor there. Because we'll definitely find ourselves back to ground zero.
Right. Aisha, I want to go through a little something. Take 5 minutes if I can have that. Now, the first thing I want to say is that, as a general rule, if your currency is depreciating, that on its own should not be what causes you problems. But if your economy is not strong, then when your currency depreciates, it will cause you problems.
Yes, of course. But so, the vice president told us that. He says when your fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you.
All right. So the current problems that we are facing as a country, the reason why things are expensive, is not just because our currency has lost value. It is because our economy is not strong, and as a result, when our currency loses value, it affects us.
Yeah.
Because there are other parts of the world where they even deliberately devalue their currency so that they can buy things, import things cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact that our currency is losing value on its own should not be the thing that makes us knock our heads against the wall. Yeah. It should be the fact that our economy is underperforming. So in spite of all the wonderful figures that we hear in the budget, that we hear in the State of the Nation address, and all of those wonderful indicators that they want to point us to, the simple and real fact is that our economy is not healthy enough to withstand a depreciation in our currency. Now, having made that point, let's talk about why our currency is depreciating. This is the second major drop that we have seen under this new government.
In fact, this is the first time we've gotten here.
Yes, we have never been this, our currency has never been this cheap.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that this is the second time in this administration that we have experienced a period during which the currency is falling.
Period.
Yes. So last year, we heard that the reason why we had that problem was because the American government increased interest rates. And as a result, there was a knock-on effect on all emerging markets, including ours. So other countries like Argentina and so forth, they all
experienced it.
And we did too.
Yeah.
So it was external factors, not anything we did. As for us, we were just living our lives. But America did something and we all suffered.
Yeah.
So as a result, they went and brought in some money to shore it up and all of that. And in a matter of months, it stabilized. If that had been the long-term solution, it would never have happened again.
Yeah.
But clearly it's happened again.
It has.
Let's look at the reason why it's happened the second time. And this is what a lot of people are actually missing. They're putting it aside. The reason for this recent fall.
Yeah.
I interviewed Kojo Nkrumah, the Minister for Information, just before the State of the Nation address. And I brought this up, asked him why it's happening. And he confirmed to me that it is because the Bank of Ghana carried out some policy initiative in relationship to the IMF conditionalities. And as a result of that action they took, the market misread it and acted the wrong way, causing the value of the cedi to fall.
Okay.
Bank of Ghana basically miscommunicated policy to the market. What's the market? The banks.
Okay.
So Bank of Ghana failed to communicate effectively with the banks, and as a result, our cedi is falling.
Yeah.
That is incompetence. That is ineptitude. That is the reason why we are experiencing this most recent fall in the value of our cedi.
Okay.
Somebody did a bad job, and as a result, companies are suffering, and the cedi, the dollar is worth 5 cedis and 77 pesos.
Yeah, 77 pesos.
Because somebody couldn't communicate. That's what the information minister has told us.
Okay.
All right. So now what's the solution? Ken Ofori-Atta says we are going for a bond, 3 billion.
Yep,
then we are going to go and get some 300 million from cocoa, another 600 million from cocoa. and then they are going to to Parliament in the meantime to approve some 750 million. And these are the ways in which we are going to combat this recent fall in the cedi caused by ineptitude. Okay. So as for us, what we'll do is every time that our cedi is falling, we'll go and borrow some money to shore it up. But the last time we did that, it clearly didn't solve the problem. We're here again.
Yeah.
So going back to the first point about the reason why we feel the pinch when the cedi devalues is because our economy is not performing well enough.
Yeah.
So the long-term solution is to fix our economy. They talk about the fundamentals of our economy having to be fixed. We have to move from import driven to all of that business. This is something this government knew before they won power.
Yeah.
Because they told us.
And they campaigned with it.
They told us this before they won power. So after 2 years, the simple question we should be asking, we shouldn't be complaining about the cedi. I think as a media, our responsibility is not to be happy on, oh, the cedi is falling, the cedi is falling. After 2 years and 3 months, we should be going to government every day to ask them, today, what did you do to change the fundamentals of our economy? Tomorrow, we should go back and ask them the same question. Today, what did you do to change it?
Okay.
And they should be accounting to us every day what they are doing to ensure a long-term situation, because as for this devaluation, it will keep happening.
And I think the other question we should ask is where the key is, because they told us they had arrested the cedi, and so probably the IGP lost the key. Probably Bloomberg has come out to say that this path we're treading is unsustainable. Anytime the cedi is falling, we put in some money just to stabilize it, and for a month or two we go back even worse to where we are coming from. It's just unsustainable, and it's just a short-term period. Do we have some medium or long-term measures to arrest the cedi? Are we going to be doing this back and forth all the time?
Thank you, Aisha. There is no way any government can fix the fundamentals of our economy without addressing the infrastructure deficit of our country. No way. Because the crux of the matter is that your economy will respond once the infrastructure that is needed for businesses to perform. For instance, if you don't have Wi-Fi, what do you call it, the backbone or whatever you guys call it?
Yeah, the infrastructure, the fiber.
Fiber optic backbone. You don't have it. You don't have good and constant energy supply. You don't have water. You don't have good roads. You don't have health facilities. There is no way your economy will respond. So to address that problem and fix, I'm not an economist. I'm just an ordinary Joe on the street, but I do know that there is no way you can sit in the class, Bank of Ghana, like Dr. Baumia told us that he was there and he knows that the money is there and we don't have to borrow. In 2 years, we've borrowed over 50 billion. In 2 years, we've borrowed over 50 billion with interest rate of almost 8 billion annually.
Yeah.
That we are paying. On that, just the 2 years borrowing. I'm not talking about those loans that were there before they came to power.
Yeah.
So clearly, and in all this, you are not seeing any concerted effort at addressing the infrastructure deficit of the country.
Yeah.
And so we were going to be in this mess. And these are people who told us that they are the better managers of the economy. But they are not seeing that the working of the economy is based on the existing of infrastructure.
Yeah. And
so rather than increasing our capital what's the name?
Expenditure.
Capital expenditure. We are reducing. Last year it reduced to about 2.9 or so of GDP from 4.7 or so of 2016.
Yeah.
So clearly, you see that we are the capex is reducing, which means that we are not investing in solving the problems that will fix the economy in long term.
We've had indications that fuel prices will go up if that is not fixed. But and you know that when fuel prices go up, it means that everything else is going up.
And fuel price did go up a short while ago by 4%. You understand?
Yeah.
And in 2-3 weeks' time, we expect that we are being told to expect another shoot up. You understand? So clearly, they are just sleeping on the job. They are sleeping on the job. What they are doing is short-term fixes, which they themselves told us at the time. Even we were fixing the infrastructure problem to address the economic fundamental. They told us that these quick fixes are just short-term, and we agree. It is just short-term to stabilize the situation. But even as you are putting in the short-term measure, you must continually work towards the long-term measure, which is basically expanding the infrastructure, which is the basis for which investment will come into your country, and then the production and productivity will shoot up, then make you more import driven than export,
which I think is long overdue. I think it's long overdue. But working on the long-term measure. That is the mistake the Ghanaian people have made by changing government. Somebody sent me a question. Somebody is asking me a question here. He says, please, how come we're being told that all our economic indicators are good and yet our city is wobbling? Or is it that the economic indicators has nothing to do with the city?
Well, Dr. Bawan has an answer to that question. Dr. Bawan's thing is that you can do all the propaganda you like with the fundamentals,
but the exchange rate will expose you.
So, based on his own assessment, what it means is that let's ignore all those fine figures. The exchange rate is what is telling us what the real measure is. Because if you are in doubt, observe the exchange rate. That's another edit he taught us. That if you are in doubt about the management of the economy and the performance of the economy, just observe the exchange rate. And we are observing the exchange rate, and the exchange rate is telling us that they are not doing the right things with the economy.
I think certainly the finance minister must do more. This measure may look good,
must invest more in capital expenditure to improve the infrastructure, to call in investment.
Yeah, quick one, and then we'll do.
Excuse me. Rate of forgive me, I won't be long. Rate of depreciation from January till now is 19.05%. It was 4 cedis 92 pesos on January 1st. And Bloomberg is reporting that it's actually 5 cedis 65 pesos now, not 77 like I mentioned. Thank you, Novana Kwahefort, for that information to correct the issue.
But so it's currently 5 cedis?
5 cedis and 65 pesos.
65 pesos.
Now, let's be clear. There is also propaganda going on from the minority when it comes to this.
We've always seen that from both sides.
This attempt to hang everything on the neck of Dr. Baumia, because Dr. Baumia gave some lectures about how the city can be stabilized when he was in opposition, that's disingenuous. Because yes, Dr. Baumia said it can be done. And yes, if in this government we are seeing the city fluctuating, it is fair for us to ask questions, but it is not fair for us to leave out those who are actually being paid a salary to manage the economy. I'm talking about the finance minister, Mr. Kenufuriata. It's his job. As for the vice president, he's kind of like what you would call a board chairman, because he's the chair of the economic management team. But the guy whose job it is to daily manage our economy, make sure that the fundamentals are working.
Strong.
The person whose
investment in infrastructure to expand
the person whose job, and I'll come to the infrastructure in a moment, the person whose job it is to make sure we don't find ourselves in this situation is the finance minister.
And he's the one who says they are going to put in some money Certainly he's thinking about only short-term measures.
And that really bothers me.
Well, we're running out of time, so I think we would have to also delve into quickly the Emil Short Commission. We're running out of time. I think we've dealt with the CD issue, and we've all established the fact that the economy is not being managed well. I think they need to up their game.
I totally agree.
And also this short-term measure.
That we must, how do you call it, look at the finance minister. But the truth of the matter is that Dr. Bawumia and Akufo-Addo were the ones who sat and made promises to us. It's not Ken Ofori-Atta.
Well, Ken Ofori-Atta
is the one who has been tasked with implementing those promises.
You cannot exonerate him in this matter.
We are exonerating him because he is only pursuing the policies that he has been told to pursue.
I disagree. The Emil Short Commission that has tasked to look into that.
Is that how
please let me land.
Yes.
Oh, please.
Please. I disagree. The finance minister has issues to answer.
Absolutely, I'm not disagreeing.
And so he cannot be exonerated from him.
What Akufo-Addo has
Don't
asked
say
him
that.
to do.
Then why did your party members report Setekpe to the president?
Did you see the president fire Setekpe because he was working to the president's vision?
Having said that,
today that's what you're saying.
That's what I've always said.
Having made that point, I think that the Emil Short Commission has handed over its report to the president, and it's very commendable that they were able to work within the time that they were giving. And whilst they presented their report, and Emil Short makes the point that there are a lot of recommendations that the president can make use of to deal with the party militias we've all been looking forward to dealing with. The president also gives an order or instruction to the AG to start processes to get as a law or a draft law that can deal with this issue. Now, the NDC, and we've all seen the letters of commitment on ending commitment, and which we've just seen letters, but we've not even seen a single action. And then we've seen the NDC come in to say that this path the president is treading is actually a long, winding way to dealing with the militia issues. They believe that the two people coming together actually would have been the shortest way of dealing with party militias. Kobe, what do you make of this point?
I just think that the president is just continually showing us that he lacks the commitment to solve the problem that he himself has identified. And I'll tell you why.
We don't have much time, so make it snappy.
It is indeed true that prior to setting up of the Emil Short, not prior. In fact, the Emil Short Commission was set up while the president was not in the country on his instruction to the vice president.
Yes.
When the president came back, he went to Parliament to go and address, give us the State of the Nation address, in which he thanks the two political parties to come together and work, or in a week he will going to take action by way of legislation. But then, having set up the commission for its recommendations to come, one would have expected the president to at least wait for that recommendations to come, study it, and then take a holistic action. But right now, the president has ordered the AG to take a certain step. We don't even know what is in the commission's report. Whether whatever they are going to do is going to take into consideration those reports and all that. So it just shows you that there is a pure lack of commitment.
Kojo, what do you make of this whole commitment here and there, and the instructions given by the president?
Let me say this now. I don't think I've ever said it before, but of all the people in politics in this country, one of the people I respect, and I will even use the word revere the most, is President Akufo-Addo, just because of his history, where he's come from, things he's done, and the thought he has led in this country. But the president's confusing me. He's confusing me. I don't understand what he's doing now. I say this because he said at the State of the Nation address that he wants these two parties, he knocked their heads together, go and sit in a room.
He actually asked his party to take that step.
Indeed. And deal with the matter. And if they fail, he will then initiate legislation.
Yeah. But after 23 days, nothing
he's initiating legislation. Does that mean they failed? Is that what he's telling us?
After 23 days, we didn't hear of any meeting between the two.
I want to explain my confusion here. Is he saying that the chairman of his party has refused to do what he told him? Is that what he's saying? And based on that, he's now moving to the nuclear option, if you like, the plan B, which is legislate.
I would have loved to see what the Emil Short report has. If all of us are privy
but you remember the president
Emil
has
Short
already,
report,
the
I think
president
it will clear some of the confusion here.
That.
But don't forget that
In
the president
letter.
says that this draft legislation will not prejudice anything that happens between the two parties if they meet. So yes, the confusion is.
So why did he say he will only go for legislation if the parties fail?
Legislation, and what happens to the Emil Short Commission?
You see, that's why I'm getting confused.
As the week goes by, we will all clear our confusion and we will get some answers. This has been Editors Forum. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. My guest has been Kojo Yangson, who's with Joy News, and Kobe Fiagbe is managing editor of the Ghanaian Lens. Many thanks, gentlemen, for coming, and thanks for watching. Have a good evening.